So I wasn't sure if I really wanted to make this video, but at the same time, it's been pulling at me for a long time and I feel like I really needed to. So I wanted to say, first of all, your support of this channel makes all the difference in my ability to make good videos and to keep the content coming. And so upgrading and getting out and doing things for you and making good videos for you costs money. So if you could support the channel, it'd be great. This is the merch. If you don't know what this is about, then watch the Amanita entities. That video is really great. If you can't afford merch, but you want to help me out, then buy me a coffee. The link is in the description. So the link for everything is in the description. That would be great. So this is heavy. And my disclaimer is this. I'm not a guy. I have my own issues with sexism and being female. And I am not even pretending or thinking that I come close to knowing what it's like to be male in this society. That's not what this is about. I'm not trying to frame men's reality. I'm not trying to be a therapist. To find out that 86% of my viewers are male. And I looked into that recently. I'm like, God, it really seems to be a lot of dudes around here. Well, what happened pretty quickly when I made my channel was that the guys just started showing up and talking about why they were here, what they liked about the channel, what their struggles were, sharing what they do, their background, their history, and the stories. Well, I already had somewhere to put it because, you know, you don't get to be my age without being very intimate with people. And I'm heterosexual, so I've been in long relationships with men that were broken or going through the same kind of shit I was, men that were healthy. And I have been fortunate enough to have mostly my close friends be male. And it was that way all the way through high school, all the way through college. I drank with the guys, I played cards with the guys, and rock climber with the guys. I've always been more interested in typically male-driven sports. Most of my friends have been guys. And I've watched them go through relationships and breakups. I've watched them go through marriages and having children and divorces. And I have been fortunate to have them be very vulnerable, open, and honest with me. And I formed my opinion of how I wanted to raise my son because of all these amazing men that I've had in my life. And then I've raised my son and the things that I have had to listen to him deal with. So I'm going to make generalized statements. So bear with me. I understand this doesn't mean everybody. I am generalizing about what I'm getting on my channel and what I'm getting in the real world from men who are my very dear friends, and all of the messages that I get and what I read on the forum, what I have been privileged to listen to, and that you have been kind enough to share with me. It has put me in this position where I just need to say this, and that's all it is. So I don't mean to leave out people who are in the LGBTQ community. Sometimes I feel non-dual. I don't know. I don't feel female. Sometimes I feel male. Whatever. I don't have a label yet. I haven't figured that out yet. So I don't mean to step on toes and I don't mean to offend. But I am talking about humans who identify as male and everything that brings along with it from society. So first, I have to tell you, I am so fucking sorry. Because women have a platform. And we can say, look, this is sexist and this sucks, you know, and women finally rose up and said, we don't like this. And they started trying to fight for rights and for what they needed. And it has turned into sort of this backlash where women are objectifying men. And if some things that women say about men, if the tables were turned and men said that about women, it would absolutely be unacceptable. The double standard is real. And I don't hang around with women that do that shit. I understand a lot of men don't mind being objectified, but honestly, that's not a healthy man. And while we all like to be objectified from time to time, if that's all that's happening, if you happen to have been born quite handsome and you're muscular and you look great, but you're very sensitive and kind-hearted, it's like, come on, you know. There's something going on in here too. And if you are kind, have you noticed that the women just seem to put you in the friend zone and then you're who they come crying to when they go pick the asshole? And it's like, we knew he was an asshole. Why does this, why, you know? But I want you to know, regardless of what happened to you in your childhood, there are some undeniable things that society as a whole has done to break you and to fuck your shit up. And that is to tell you, and there have been many studies done, that females, children that were identified as female, when they hurt and cried, they were talked to in a different tone of voice, a more kind and loving, higher pitched voice. They were touched, they were held, they were comforted, they were soothed, they were listened to, they were empathized with. But boys were spoken to in a lower tone of voice, ignored longer and left to cry longer. They were very rarely touched. And then they were told things like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, you'll get over it. Oh, come on, suck it up. Look, can't you do this? Very action-oriented. Do this instead. Come on, you got this. This, even from people like psychologists and people who should know better. Girls were told, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Do you want me to kiss it? Come here, let me give you a hug. And even today, with little boys, if you do this with a boy, or if a boy is seen hurting, crying, and running to mama, the criticism is he's a mama's boy. Like, isn't that a good thing? Aren't all children supposed to be the mama's children if the mama is the parent at the moment? And what about being a daddy's boy? If daddy's around and he's the one helping and the kid runs to daddy and daddy does the right thing, then it's looked at like, oh, you spoiled that kid. From the earliest, from the very beginning, you were gaslighted and told not to trust your reality. That it's not that bad. To suck it up. You were redirected. And what do when time after time after time, when you're trying your best and you fall, you're trying your best and you drop something, you're trying your best and you break something, you try your best and you run into something and you get hurt or someone steals your toy. Eventually, you know to stop crying and asking for help. And what do you do with the pain? Very young children figure this shit out. They turn it inside. They start taking over and saying, it wasn't that bad. Suck it up. Redirect. Find something else to do. And what is that something else? What happens when you take pain and turn it inward? you get anger. And that's why from early ages, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, they're redirecting into anger and then lashing out. Well, let's say that when they do that, they get in trouble at home and at school. And they learn pretty early that this is not going to be acceptable behavior. I can tell you what happens. When a normal body hurts and is scared and then is emotionally abandoned, redirected, not loved, not touched, told to suck it up, then the normal rage and anger that comes out, they are also punished for. Well, if you're not allowed to take care of yourself, then the body is in fear. Every living thing is allowed to protect itself. When you put a living thing in a position where it can't take care of and protect itself, fight or flight kicks in. And so we have an entire planet of males living in a constant state of panic and anxiety, going right into adolescence. And what if you managed to somehow tame the rage and the anger, but then the testosterone kicks in? And now you don't know what to do with the anger because the anger is bigger than you. And you're interested in sex and getting laid all of a sudden. And you want to do the right thing and be the right thing. And yet you feel like you don't want to be the asshole. You want to be open and honest. You want to tell someone what you think of them, that you like them, that you like what they're wearing, that they smell good, that you don't want to just jump into bed, that you're scared of sex. You're new at this. You don't know what you're doing. But no, you're supposed to know what you're doing. You're supposed to have everything figured out. You're supposed to make the first move. So you push yourself through it in some fearful way. Maybe you feel like your first encounter was shitty. Maybe you feel like you did it out of pressure. Maybe your body sort of took over and you were afraid, but you got through it, but it wasn't the best experience. And then you didn't know what to do. And then you felt ashamed because maybe you feel like you fucked it up, and then didn't you carry that with you? And then you're sort of insecure and you don't really know how to do this whole thing. But, can you say that? Is that going to be okay? Because what society expects you to do is bring it. Just bring it. Know what you're doing. Be confident. Bring it. Except don't ask for help. Don't be vulnerable. Don't be honest. Don't be weak. Don't be kind. Don't cry. Shove it down. Don't get angry. Redirect, but in a healthy way. Know what you're doing. Have confidence. You need to shove down that anxiety. You need to go forward and do this right when you're in school, getting near to the end of school, becoming a senior, and you're supposed to have a direction, because guess what? You know what your value and your worth is supposed to be? Your job, what you can do, how you can earn a living. Can I please just tell you something right now? You are worth so much more than the money you make and the job that you do and the people you can support. That is merely a life situation. Your value and your worth has nothing to do with that. I don't know how often you hear it, but find the timestamp on this video and play it every day until you know this deeply. You are worth something else. What you get up and do every day, and however you're compensated for that, has nothing to do with your value and your worth. Do you hear me? It is a wonder that our men make it to 30 in somewhat of a decent mental state. The pressure on you to not have an internal life, to not be vulnerable, afraid, honest, gentle, kind, loving, fearful, to shove all that down to put on a front of confidence when you're not, to learn to redirect yourself instead of to stay focused on the problem so you can fix it, to shove back and down the anger, the rightful anger, and the anxiety. And then you've got all that testosterone that just wants to fucking scream. And then it just starts coming out sideways. And you love the people that you love, mostly the women. Some of you also the men in your life. But it's the women that are doing a lot of the fucking up because the pressure, and they go along with it, that you've got to earn and bring it home. And they ask you, what are you driving? What do you do for a living? What are you earning? How much debt do you have? How stable are you? And you know that you need to have good answers to those questions to get a ticket to play the game. And what if what you choose to do and what makes you happy means your clothes are going to be dirty, your schedule's going to be uneven, your income is going to be up and down, and you're not going to have paid time off or vacation time? And what if it means that you can't live by a clock, and you need to be a little more of a free spirit than that? Like, maybe some of you found your match, but a lot of you haven't because of how you're here and why you're at my channel. And society has told you that that is your worth. Your confidence, what you do, your stability, your income, and how much money you've invested, and what you bring to the table. How you look, can you follow rules? Can you fall in line? Can you do as you're told? Do you have a job? Not, do you own your own business, or do you work for yourself? Are you happy at what you're doing? And by the time you've shoved down everything, including your own personality, because how do you have one after this? All you care about is making people happy, the people that you love. Because you've learned that if you do bring home money, if you do bring home gifts, if you jump through all of the hoops of figuring out what it is that these people want, and you can do it on a regular basis, and you can clean up after yourself or help with the kids, or, try to take notes on all the things that she wants or he wants, and you try to do all that shit, who's taking care of you? Like, I get it if they're giving back, but you begin to think that that's your value and your worth, so you do that more so you can get a pat on the back. Because how often do people say, thanks for having a great job and doing great and holding up this home? You're a great husband. Like, women make it known that they need to hear that. But you know what women also get? They get told, you're rocking it, girl. We've got our own issues. There's a shit sandwich to go around. We have issues that we have to deal with sexism in society. But it's built in that we can ask for help, that we get to watch things that say, you're good enough, you're sexy enough, stop treating yourself this way. We're told that. We're told to love ourselves. And we say, men are fat and they don't care. Men eat anything and they don't care. Men don't work out and they don't care. Bullshit. I don't know a single man that doesn't care, that he doesn't look good or feel good. But you're told you don't care, so you must not care, right? So just shove that down too. Until eventually the only way you can ever really be told that you're good is when you keep bringing the paycheck home, or you go above and beyond when you're exhausted and clean the house or do something unusual or bring those flowers. And then you get that really small pat on the back or that really small thank you. But you know what's worse? A woman's rite of passage There are others, but having a child is the most female thing you can do. Like, that is really hugely female. And it changes you permanently in a way that nothing else will ever physically change you, hormonally change you, and mentally change you, especially if you give birth without drugs. Women can have that if they can have children. They can adopt to have the experience of motherhood. But what is a guy's most masculine rite of passage? And in most tribes and most of humanity, that's why they had a built-in rite of passage around 12, 13, 14 that a man prepared for. And it was hard, but it was his rite of passage because he needed that initiation and something that moved him into that place. But he also got to hunt, which is a very testosterone-driven masculine thing to do. Now, I engage in a lot of very testosterone-driven things, whitewater kayaking and rock climbing and other things that I'm not going to talk about, but I know what it's like to push my edge. But it's exhausting, and I want to quit long before the men do. But where do you push your edge? Like, every rite and ritual that a man really needs has been removed from society. And so have your feelings and your emotions and your true inner identity of self. And then you're just thrust into adulthood to figure it out, figure the sex out, figure the leadership thing out, figure the job thing out. And when are you supposed to just fail and be okay? And that's when the men look to their women to sort of like maybe fix it, you know, their partners, like maybe she'll like see me. And maybe she does, or maybe she did for a while. But I know too many women that aren't my friends anymore, that they use the children like pawns against their men. That was just cruel and awful. And you know, most of the time women get custody, and most of the time the men are at work, but it doesn't mean you miss your children any less. And then when you're absolutely emotionally exhausted from all this, and you still try to keep it together to hold the job and bring money in, when you do get home, you're so fucking exhausted. And yet you're supposed to rub her feet, notice her hair, notice how clean the house is, help with the house. Now, I'm not saying that she doesn't also have a full-time job. I'm not saying she's not also exhausted. I'm not saying you've been a really peach of a guy. I'm sure you've been an asshole enough. But we're not talking about the women right now. We're talking about the men. When are you supposed to have the emotional energy to show up for romance? Romance is so energy expensive. It's so much easier to just be like, look, I really miss her. I really want to connect, but I just can't bring anything. My dick will get up all by itself. That I can do. And I will look at her and meet her there in that space. And so you ask for sex, and she's like, I'm not in the mood, and then it's sex and romance, and all you want to do is... And it's like, no, that's not all I want to do, but it's all I can do right now. And it's not just sex. I'm meeting you in that space. Meet me there. And then when you don't do good enough, they leave. And they shame you when they go. And if there's children involved, well, I've seen so many men get treated so badly and raked over the coals, and their hearts break, and they miss their children, and they miss their wife, and they're heartbroken, and they go from a family and a full life to just silence and alone and lonely. And now the pressure of coming up with child support or spousal support. And it's gut-wrenching. And I want you to know, I see all of you. I see. And I am so fucking sorry that our society is so fucking broken. We are broken to the women, and we are broken to our men. And I want you to know that I am so grateful for you showing up here and being vulnerable. It's a risk to be as open as you are with me when you write to me or you post on the forums or you comment. Some of you show up, just lay yourselves bare and say, this is who I am, and it's amazing to me. And I want you to know you're safe here. I can't speak for how others around you are going to treat you on my channel, but I want you to know with me, you're safe. I know you may have been an asshole, but you know what? You can be forgiven. You can decide you don't want to be anymore, and then you just work on it. Maybe some people can't forgive you, but they don't know what it was like to be told from the time you could barely stand up and walk to deny who you really are. And the toll that takes over time. You know what you're worth? If you're not worth your job and what you can bring home, or how you raise the family, or how much you've invested, or what you look like, the most beautiful thing in the world that you are to me is what makes you happy. When I see you talk about what makes you happy, that is what you're worth. That is you being you. What you enjoy. Speed and cars, flying, jumping out of airplanes, finding an amazing sunset, photography, painting something, sketching something, showing up with your heart and listening. Whatever makes you happy, when I see you do that, that's your soul shining, and that is what you are worth. So the fireworks are getting loud. Tomorrow is our country's independence celebration. The fireworks are going off. So I'm going to end this and say that I am grateful to all of you for the ways that you support me and show me love, and the way that you thank me, the way that you comment and watch my videos, and you go to the forum and you show up on Instagram. The compliments that you give, I feel that they're from your heart. The amount of love that comes from you. I see you. I love it. I love you. I am grateful